Hello students, welcome to SAM classes. Today we'll be doing the chapter moving charges and magnetism. Now this chapter is very important as it contains approximate around 5 to 6 questions per KCET exam. So and the questions are very simple. So you just need to understand the important formulas, how to apply it. Once you know how to apply it, you'll be able to solve it in less than 10 seconds, max 30 seconds. Not much of calculations is involved, but only thing is the understanding has to be good. So for that, whatever was important for the KCT purpose, we we made it into a concept video, and we have given up all the formulas and everything whatever you guys needed. Now since the time is short, so don't go too much diving into it. Take a pen and a paper, make a short notes of these important formulas. First understand what does the formula is all about, what is it telling us, and how to apply it. That's it. So if you know this much, you'll be able to solve each and every question. And once we're solving the PYQ, we'll show you how we are solving the PYQ. And not always you have to use the formula. We can use some tricks, we can use some shortcuts, common sense to solve it in less than 30 seconds also. But the formulas come too handy. So write it down and memorize it very properly. So let's start the chapter. Now let's see. First thing is charge. We have read about charge. The moment charge is at rest, what happens? It creates electric field. Okay, so we have read the first two chapters all about charges at rest. Okay, creating electric field and the phenomena involved after that. Now the moment charges started moving. So once the charge starts moving, what we have? We have current. Now once we have current, we have magnetic field. A current carrying conductor creates a magnetic field also. Okay, so now we'll be reading about the magnetic effects of a moving charge. So that's why the chapter is moving charges and magnetism. The magnetism or the what do you say? Magnetic properties or the magnetic field that we are getting by a charge which is moving in nature. Okay. So what is a magnetic field? Very simple, just like electric field, the space around a magnet in which its effect or the force or the magnetic force which can be felt. That's it. SI unit is Tesla, and 1 Tesla is 10 power 4 Gauss. Okay, that's it. So pretty simple. The basic concept, the soul of the chapter, the how we start the chapter, why we are reading this chapter. The application is huge. We're not going into much details about the story section or the what do you say two details. We're just going to the KCT point of view so that we can make the video a bit short. You can write it down, complete the whole chapter in like around 30 to 40 minutes. So once you're able to finish the whole thing in 30 to 40 minutes, and if you're revising the PYQ along with us, so it will be done. Okay, 5 to 6 marks will be a guaranteed. Now let's see, the first and the most important concept here in this chapter which we'll be learning is motion of a charged particle in a magnetic field. The moment you have a charged particle, let's say a charged particle q, and you have kept in a magnetic field. Now here this cross shows that the magnetic field is going inside. Okay, now in this case what will happen? So the force formula which is acting, the force which acts on the charged particle is given by F is equal to charge of whatever the charged particle is, whatever the charge, into velocity cross magnetic field. So F is equal to Q into V cross B. So very important. Okay, force on a charged particle in a magnetic field is given by F is equal to Q into the charge multiplied with the cross product of velocity and magnetic field. Now very important to understand, whenever we do, like let's say I have a C vector which is the cross product of two vector. So what does it mean? C vector is perpendicular to both A and B. Correct. We have done in vector algebra that whenever we do a cross product of two vectors and we get a third vector which is the resultant or the cross product of two vectors, it is basically what? Perpendicular to the first two vectors. So here the force is perpendicular to both velocity and magnetic field. Now force depends on what things? Charge, velocity, magnetic field. Correct. Now let's say we want to make the force zero. How can the force be zero? So charge is always be there. If a charged particle is there, so the moment it doesn't have a charge means q is zero. So we are talking about charged particle, so charge will be there. So v can be the magnitude of v. Okay, can be zero means the particle is at rest. When the particle is at rest, the force will be what? Acting on the particle will be zero. So that is one case where we are getting force is equal to zero. Now if we open this up, if we open the cross product, what you'll get? Q into VB sin theta. We already know the formula of A vector cross B vector. What is it? Mod of A mod of B into sin theta. That's it. And theta is the angle between A and B. Correct. Now, so if sin theta is maximum, means 90 degree. So the sine value will be what? Maximum, and we'll get the maximum force. So the force, maximum value of force we get when the velocity and magnetic field, they are perpendicular to each other. Now if you see here in this diagram, velocity is like this going upward and magnetic field is inside. So what is the angle they are making? 90 degree. Again, if you see at this point, velocity is like this, magnetic field inside. So again, an angle of what? 90 degree. It is inside the plane. Just imagine. Again, velocity is like this and magnetic field is going inside cross. Okay. So again, the angle between these two is what? 90 degree. Okay. So when they are perpendicular, when velocity and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other, that time the force experienced by a charged particle is what? F is equal to QVB. Very, very important. So the moment a charged particle, you place it in a magnetic field and it has velocity, there is a magnetic field there. Then what is the force which acts on the charged particle? That is simply given by this formula. Force is equal to charge into velocity into magnetic field. If the angle between the velocity and the magnetic field is 90 degree, then this is force is equal to QVB. Otherwise, we can use the vector form directly to solve it. Okay. If the angle is other than that, we can use the vector form to solve it. Now let's see the next part. Now here again, if I'm saying that force is zero, so what can be the other reason for the force to be zero? Now imagine the vector part. If two vectors are parallel or anti-parallel, so what will happen? The angle between them will be either theta equal to 0 or 180 degree. In that case and scenario, when velocity vector and magnetic field, they are either parallel or anti-parallel. Okay, so in that case, again, the V cross B will be 0. Okay, the V cross B will be 0 because sine 0 is 0 and sine what is 180 is also 0. So that case also the force will be 0. Okay, so two cases we gave where force is 0. First case we gave in the previous part where the magnitude of the velocity was 0 and the force was coming up to be 0. Second case is if the angle between the velocity and the magnetic field is 0 or 180 degree, either they are parallel or anti-parallel, directly we can say the force will be 0. Clear everybody? Now, how do you find out the direction of the force? Very simple, we can use right hand thumb rule. Correct. Take this velocity, curl it along B, so you'll get the what? Force direction. The thumb will point at the direction of what you say, the force. Now right hand thumb rule we have done from like what, class 9, 10th onwards. So you already know about it. Correct. And we also know by the cross product that force is always perpendicular to V and B. Okay. The cross product, the resultant of any two cross product gives a third vector which is perpendicular to both the vectors. So that's why force C, here force is perpendicular to V and it is also perpendicular to B. Clear? Now, since force is perpendicular to velocity, now we got to know that force is perpendicular to velocity. Then what will happen? So force perpendicular to velocity, so no work will be done. Why? Because no change in magnitude of the velocity. The direction of the velocity is changing. See, it is doing a circular motion. Direction at each step it is changing, but the magnitude of the velocity, it's not changing. Correct. So the circular path is followed by the particle and the magnetic force acts as a, now what force is present here to give the centripetal force? In order for a body to revolve around a circle, okay, what is the force we need? Centripetal. So who is providing here the centripetal? The magnetic force, because no other force is there. Correct. So F magnetic is only providing the F centripetal here also. Correct. Now, so what you can see, we already know when theta is equal to 90 degree, what we got? Force QVB, and we know the centripetal force is equal to what? Mv square by r. Everybody knows this formula. So the moment we equate these two, because the magnetic force is only providing the centripetal force for the electron to revolve or for the charged particle to revolve around the circle. So what you'll get? Mv square by r is equal to what? QVB. Now velocity went home. Correct. So what we got? Radius r is equal to mv by qb. Now these formulas are very, very, very important. Okay, and we'll be having a lot of questions from these formulas straight directly. Okay, so write it down very properly. So this radius r of the circular path we can easily find by using this formula where r is equal to mv by qb. Okay, you can mug it up, you already know how to derive it also, but in exam we'll have very less time, so make sure that the formulas are on your fingertips. Okay, because in exam where target is like 3 seconds, the best 10 seconds, the next 30 seconds, the next, okay, max 1 minute. So we'll try for going by this method. Okay, now we have learned in class 11, the first PU, that velocity v is equal to r omega. is equal to radius times the angular velocity, correct? So if we substitute that, so r will be is equal to what? M r omega by qb. So here r and r will be cancelled. So what you'll get? Angular velocity we can get. Angular velocity will be what? Qb by m, correct? So now we got angular velocity also. Now what about angular velocity? We know angular velocity has a relation with time. What is that time period? 2 pi by t. So we can write t is equal to 2 pi m by qb. So we got the time period also, correct? So we got the time period, we got the radius, we got the angular velocity. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff. Let's see what else we can get it. Now, what about frequency? So frequency is nothing but 1 by time period. So that is equal to qb by 2 pi m, correct? So we got the frequency of the charged particle also. Now next, again r we got as mv by qb. Now this velocity, okay, this mv is what, student? Momentum, correct? Product of mass into velocity. So r can also be written as in terms of p by qb. So the moment momentum came, we can equate that with kinetic energy also. We have a relation of momentum, which we will read in the nuclear physics. Momentum is equal to what? Root under of 2m into kinetic energy. So now we have related the radius with the kinetic energy. So r is equal to what? Root under of 2m into kinetic energy by qb. Now this kinetic energy is like a form of work done. So kinetic energy can also be written as what? EV in terms of electron volt, because we know voltage is equal to what? Work done by charge. So in terms, if it is an electron, so work done by electron, charge of electron. So work done is equal to what? EV. So this EV can be replaced with the kinetic energy, and we can get the radius in terms of what you say, electron volt also. So very important formulas. A lot of questions comes from these formulas. Minimum 1 to 2 question is confirmed. So all these formulas which I have marked in yellow, do write it, do mug it up like very thoroughly, so that in exam you don't have any single difficulty, and you can what is recap it, and you can just solve in less than 3 seconds. Okay, now let's see the next part. Till now the velocity was perpendicular. Now what if the velocity is not perpendicular, but it is making some angle theta? What it is doing? It is making some angle theta with the b. So now in that case, what do you do? We know the resolution of vectors. So what we'll do, we'll break this vector v. We'll break the velocity vector into two parts. One will be what? V perpendicular. One will be what? V parallel. And v parallel is nothing but v cos theta. And v perpendicular will be what? V sin theta. That's it. We've already done in what? Projectile motion also. So we are breaking it into two parts. One is v parallel, one is v perpendicular. Now v perpendicular is v sin theta and v parallel is v cos theta. Now you understand this perpendicular will allow the circle, will make a circular motion. This perpendicular, what it will do? It will make the charged particle move in circle, but this v parallel, it will push also. So it will move a circle, it will push. It will move a circle, it will push. So what you can see? We can see a helical path. A bit circular motion and then movement, circular motion, movement, circular motion, movement. Why? Because we have two components of velocity. One component of the velocity, it is making it move in a circle. The other component is changing the what? It is giving a x displacement. Okay, it's making it move. See, then clear. So now radius again. So radius now will be what? mv perpendicular, because for this only we are able to do the circular motion by qb, and that is equal to mv sin theta. We already know that by qb. Now pitch is nothing but the distance between these two circles. Okay, the distance between one rotation. By doing these, see, these two are separate rotations, and what is the distance between this is given by pitch. Okay, not the cricket pitch. Okay, so this pitch is equal to v parallel into what is the time, and that is equal to v cos theta, and time period already we know 2 pi m by qb. That's it. So we got the formula of pitch also, radius also done. Okay. So next what we have, cyclotron. So cyclotron we won't go into the much theory because we are not doing for the second PU. We're doing for KCT. So only the important formulas, and all the formulas are almost similar. So R is equal to mv by qb, what you have done. Here one thing changes is the frequency of the oscillator. We keep it in such a way that should be same to the frequency of the proton, that natural frequency. So that is important. So frequency of the oscillator is same thing, qb by 2 pi m. Time period is equal to 1 by frequency of the oscillator, that is equal to 2 pi m by qb. So formulas are same. F centripetal is equal to again same, F magnetic. So mv square by r is equal to qvb. So from here directly we can get that is equal to what you say, qbr. Okay. Now what you can see is, because we got cancelled, so kinetic energy is equal to what, students? Half mv square. So directly we can find the formula. Okay, so mv square will be equal to what? Qvb q Okay, we can find the value of V square. One second. So what you can do is, students, here, V square is equal to QBR by V. Or you can V is equal to QBR by V. Correct, QBR by M, sorry. So V, what we got it as QBR by M. Okay, so once we got V is equal to QBR by M, kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, just multiply. And this formula is very important. At least 2 to 3 questions are there in the KCT part. Okay, now let's see. Next is force on a current carrying conductor. Very important. Now earlier we were just reading about the force on a charged particle. Now we'll be reading about the force on a current carrying conductor. So we have a current carrying conductor and now you are placed in a magnetic field. So what is the force? F is equal to IBL sine theta. Directly simple. Okay, you need to understand that much. Now what does Biot-Savart's law says? That the magnetic field due to a current carrying element. Okay, so for a current carrying element, the magnetic field at this point here, P dB is given as mu naught by 4 pi ideal sine theta by r square. So what we got? Mu naught by 4 pi ideal sine theta by r square, and mu naught by 4 pi is 10 power minus 7, or mu naught is equal to 4 pi into 10 power minus 7. Okay, now so dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I into, we can write in terms of vector form, dl vector cross r vector divided by r cube. So both the what do you say formula is important, go through it. Okay, clear? Now this angle theta is nothing between the r and the length of this. Okay, clear? Now next is magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor. So here we have say straight current carrying conductor. Let's say the current is going like this, but it is finite. Okay, now here at P it is making an angle phi, what do you say, phi 2, and it is making an angle phi 1. So magnetic field D is given as mu naught by, this question came in KCT, 4 pi I by r, current by the radius, how what is the how far we are, by sine phi 1 plus sine phi 2. Very important. Now suddenly what they'll do for infinite length, now the moment you make it infinite, what will happen? This will almost be 90 degree here, 90 here, pi by 2 here, and pi by 2 here. Correct? So in that case, what will happen? B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2i by r. Why? Because sine 90 plus sine 80 is what? 1 plus 1. So that this 2 came here as 2. Okay, so this is the formula, mu naught I by 2i by mu naught by 4 pi 2i by r. Okay, now if one end we just need to find, it is infinite, but at one end we just, at the horizontal part we want to find, so at one of the end it will be just half of that. So mu naught by 4 pi I by r. Now let's see the next page. Next, for a circular, what do you say, magnetic field on the axis of a circular current carrying loop. Magnetic field on the axis of a circular current carrying loop. This is a circular current carrying loop. So magnetic field is, this is formula. On the axis means on the line joining the center to this point. At the axial point, we already know what is axial point. Okay, that is equal to what? Mu naught I r square by 2 r square plus x square whole power 3 by 2 into, if more than one, what do you say, coil is there, so n number of turns. Okay, that's it. At the center, if you put x equal to 0, you'll get at the center. Instead of this, just bring this point here. Okay, at x equal to 0. So what will happen? Mu naught ni by 2r. Okay, now we know magnetic moment is equal to what? Nia. Now next, see, if a magnetic field is going inside, then what will happen? It will create a what? If magnetic field is going inside, the current will be what? Like this. What? This is what? Clockwise direction. So it creates a south pole. And if it is coming out, it creates a north pole. Means anti-clockwise. Clear? Done. Next, B axial is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2m in terms of dipole mode. Is a magnetic moment also 2m by x cube. So here what we see, very important, B axial is inversely proportional to 1 by x cube. So if we change x, how it will be the change? We'll see the questions how they are giving in the, what do you say, PYQ zone. Okay, in the KCT part. So very simple, the formulas you should know it, and very simple application is there, so don't worry. Next is Ampere's circular law. So what this Ampere's circular law says is the line integral of magnetic field around any closed path. Line integral along any closed path. Okay, this is called Ampere path also, Amperian path. In vacuum is equal to mu naught times the net current. Mu naught times the net current, very similar to Gauss law. So B dot dl value will be what? Mu naught times the I net. Mu naught times the net current in that. Okay, so applying it to the straight current carrying wire, if I apply it to this wire, what will happen? See, we'll make an Amperian loop of 2 pi r. Magnetic field is B, and that is equal to I current net into mu naught. So we'll get B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r. That's it. So see, we can easily apply it and get the answers. Okay. So what we need to know is the whole line integral of this B dot dl is equal to mu naught times the net current. That's it. Next part, what if it is not just a what is a line, it is just a straight wire of circular cross section. Now it has a cross section. So here two things happens. One, at inside point what will be the magnetic field, and at outside point what will be that. For an outside point it's very easy. When r is much greater than a, means the area of cross section, so what will happen, the radius, what is it, this radius of area of cross section, so that will be simply b naught I by 2 pi r, which we did right now. Okay, any outside part. Now what if the total, because here the net current was I, what if I'm making a small, what if I'm making a small, what is a part where the net current is not I net, we need to find it out. In that case situation, there this change happen. So here the magnetic field is B is equal to mu naught I by 2a square into r. So here what you see, that a magnetic field is directly proportional to r. So from 0 to r it is directly proportional, and from after r to any distance it is inversely proportional. So very important, it came also. So very important, go through this. Okay. Next, magnetic field due to a solenoid. Now we know the magnetic field for a solenoid almost behaves like a bar magnet. Inside very uniform. Okay, correct. So the magnetic field at a point P inside a long solenoid is what? B is equal to mu naught I, where N is equal to number of turns. At the ends points of a closed solenoid, end points, if I want to find out, at this point, it is half of that. That's it. Now B is independent of the length. How big, how long the solenoid is, we don't worry about that, because see, there is no L in this, and we don't worry about the diameter of the solenoid also. So we're not worried about the area of cross section, basically, we want to say. Okay. Next, if suddenly you're like, sir, I got haywire and I put, instead of vacuum, I put something other material having permeability mu r, just multiply there. Okay. So magnetic field will be mu naught mu r into Ni. That's it. Clear? Don't get confused. Nothing is there. The moment you put up something different, just you should know what is the mu r value of that, permeability value of that. Okay. What is the material's permeability? Put it up, you'll get the answer. Next, what is a toroid? We have taken a solenoid, we have just bent it in a form of a circle. So that is a toroid. This is the diagram. If you want to find the magnetic field, here is 0 and outside also is 0. At points inside, okay, here, it is B is equal to mu naught Ni. Okay, and where N is nothing but number of turns per unit length. Number of turns per unit length is what? 2 pi r. That's it. Clear? Now going a bit fast because we have less time, so I tried to make this video short, giving you the crux of the whole chapter, not leaving anything, and what do you say, so that you can finish, you can revise, and you can solve each and every question. Our main target is so that we can solve each and every KCT question. Now what they'll say, force between two current carrying conductor. See, one current carrying conductor is there, another is there. Now see, direction is very important. I1 and I2, here same direction. Force is given by the formula mu naught by 2 pi. Remember it like this, mu naught by 2 pi, and then multiplication of current I1 I2 divided by the distance between them r into the length L. Okay. The magnitude of force given by 1 on the second, and that is equal to magnitude of force given by second on 1 is same. Direction is different, but the magnitude value is same. Now force per unit length will be what? Mu naught by 4 pi divided by the length I1 I2 by r. Now what happens if both are in same direction? Always remember, attract. Normally it repels, but here in this case attracts. If they are in opposite direction, repel. Opposite direction, repel. Same direction, attracts. Clear? Now next is the torque acting on a current carrying coil. Now once you have kept a current carrying coil, okay, let's say like this, having current I in a magnetic field. So what will happen? It will experience a torque. And what is the formula of torque? In the electric field, we have read about what? P vector cross E vector. So here in the magnetic field, it will be magnetic moment. It is dipole moment into magnetic field. That's it. So M vector cross B vector. And M is equal to what? NIA. We already know that. Correct. So torque is equal to NBIA. Correct, sine theta. Or a lot of people, they remember it like this. It is Bina sine theta. B-I-N-A, Bina, S-I, and T sine theta. Okay. So you can remember all these formulas. Okay. Now next, if I have a current loop, it behaves as a magnetic dipole. See, this is a circular current loop. What is it doing is, it is behaving as a magnetic dipole. The upper face is acting as a, what the anti-clockwise current is there. So it is acting as a north pole. Upper face is like acting as a north pole, and the lower face is acting as a south pole. So magnetic field is given by the formula B is equal to mu naught M by 2 pi x cube. Clear? Now this everybody understood. If it is a anti-clockwise means what? It is going like this. If I'm using the right hand thumb rule, if it is going like this, then what will happen? It will create a north pole. Remember, like north pole is like this, anti-clockwise. Correct. If you make it, it is anti-clockwise, and south pole is like this, clockwise. See, this is making a clockwise. No, this is 12. This is what you say. 6, 3. Okay, 9. The clock. Okay, clear. Let's see the next part, moving coil galvanometer, very, very, very important for the KCT. Now, few things what you need to remember is at equilibrium position, the deflecting the torque. The deflecting torque, the torque which is making it move like this, or deflecting it is equal to the restoring torque which is trying to bring it back, and that is equal to NIBA is equal to K theta. From here, I is equal to K by NB into theta, and this whole constant we write it as G, that is known as galvanometer constant. That is known as galvanometer constant. And what you see as theta is directly proportional to current. Theta means the deflection in the moving coil galvanometer is directly proportional to current flowing through the galvanometer. That's it. More current, more the deflection, less current, less the deflection. Okay. Now, what is current sensitivity? Deflection per unit current means if I'm changing the current by 1 ampere, let's say, how much is the change in the theta? So that is known as deflection per unit current. So that is equal to current sensitivity is equal to theta by I. Theta by I, that is equal to NAB by K. That's it. Now what about voltage sensitivity? Same thing. Deflection per unit voltage. So Vs is equal to what? Theta by V. And that is equal to NBA by Kr. Clear? So if I increase the sensitivity, what will happen? N will increase, very simple, because directly proportional. If I increase this, this will increase. A will also increase. B will also increase. K will decrease today. So you should know this formula so that in KCT questions, when it comes directly, you can solve it. Okay. Now conversion, see here formulas are there, but we need to understand the main crux of that is whenever you are using a galvanometer to act as an ammeter, what is the main function of ammeter, student? The function of the ammeter is to measure max current. So what do you need to do? Current will only flow when it is least resistance. So what you need to do is you have to make this resistance. So what is it? You have to make the resistance in this very, 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 very small. Okay. So in that case, what happens? The maximum current will flow through this only and we'll be able to measure it. Okay. So we need to attach what? We need to attach what? Come on, come on, come on, anybody? So that we can measure a very, what do you say? So here we need to attach a shunt resistance in the parallel connection. Okay. So if a very high current, what do you say, resistor is attached in the parallel, what will current will come? Current will come and see, oh, this path has got a lot of restrictions. Correct. In house also, like what do you say, we have a lot of restrictions in home or something like that. So what do? You go to your friend's house and chill. Okay. So same thing, you went to your friend's house. Okay, so every people here, they went to their friend's house. So almost all of the current, since here it was a huge amount of current, so all of the current went from, what is it, huge amount of resistance. Okay, all the current went from here. So that's it. And the galvanometer was able to measure it. Now galvanometer as a voltmeter, what we can do? See, voltmeter measures voltage. So V is equal to IR. If we make this resistance so much, okay, then what will happen? The current, if it V is constant, the current has to go and current is 2 down. So what will happen? The potential drop will be less. Okay, so if we connect a very, very, very high resistance in series, almost nil current will pass. So the drop of potential here will be almost to 0 and we can act as a voltmeter. So that's it. Clear? So everybody, the chapter is almost, this is done. Every theorem, every formula we have what is collected from here and there for all different books, all different sources, and we have made it available. So work hard, do your best, and we'll try to bring up all the others. It will keep coming in the night, 12, 1, 2, like that, morning also. So our target is today, tomorrow, to give up everything, whatever is left, and to finish it off. And we have made a very big announcement. From 24th onwards, we'll be live and we'll be taking live class. Okay, not like a live class, it will be like a doubt session. Will be 24/7 available with the YouTube, and you can come, just join in, and you can, if you have any doubts, you can put in the chat section, and we'll try to solve as fast as possible. Okay, so best of luck, work hard. Okay.